The Notting Hill Carnival, Europe's biggest street party, and the police are out in force, on the ground and in a secretly located CCTV room. Within the police's ranks here today is an elite squad of officers who have the superhuman ability to instantly recognise faces they barely know. They are the Super Recognisers. Amongst the chaos and masses of people, London Met's Super Recognisers team will be on the lookout to catch and nab the capital's most wanted criminal.
You're always sort of scanning around looking for people, and we're either sort of identify people from the known database that we do have, or potentially people that we just think from previous knowledge that we think potentially could be of interest.
PC Paul Duval is one of Scotland Yard's specialist Super Recognisers, assigned to identify and apprehend known offenders hiding in the crowds.
Just moments earlier, myself and my colleague, we just spotted two people. We followed them off ourselves, and one of them we just found in possession of a knife.
In the run-up to the carnival, Paul and several other Super Recognisers studied hundreds of photos and CCTV images in order to become accustomed to the faces and features of wanted offenders. They were helped by Dr. Josh Davis, a forensic facial identification expert.
They can just scan a few people at a time and see if they can recognise any of those people. You could imagine that they're wearing different clothes than in the photographs. They may have changed their appearance altogether. It may make it harder for a Super Recogniser, but what we do know, we have done tests with, for instance, passport images taken 10 years apart, and they're still better at recognising where they've seen faces before, so maybe a slight change of appearance won't be too difficult.
While most of us can only recall 1/5 of the faces we see, Super Recognisers are able to remember up to 95%, and their superpower is thought to be a gift of nature.
We think that super recognition is probably nature rather than nurture, but I can't say for 100% certain. People tend to sort of emerge in their 20s and 30s. We're not really finding any Super Recognisers in their teens so far.
This is PC Gary Collins. He is the Met's top Super Recogniser after identifying over 800 suspects from photographs, CCTV and simply policing the streets.
I've always been good at picking out people on the street, identifying people on CCTV, remembering faces and names. Even from when I first started 20 years ago, there wasn't much CCTV about in them days. Most of the people you got to know just by getting out on the street, stopping, speaking to them, and through looking at photographs.
Since joining the Met's very first Super Recogniser team, PC Collins has been tasked with scouting out Hackney, one of the capital's highest crime patches.
Whenever an incident happens in Hackney, they'll call me in and they'll show me the footage straight away. I'll look at the footage and I'll say, yeah, I know that person, I know him from this area, or I stopped him on this occasion, and it's just putting a name to the face.
PC Collins is so adept at his job that sometimes he doesn't even need to see an entire face to spot a culprit.
I think one guy identified from his nose, side profiles.
Just his nose and that alone?
Literally, yeah, he had a scarf at the bottom half of his face, and he had a hood covering the sort of top half, which was hanging over his eyes, just to his nose, and he got arrested, charged, and he pleaded guilty at court. He said, yeah, it's me in the footage. The officers got it right, so which was quite pleasing.
Today, PC Collins' memory skills are going to be formally assessed. Here at New Scotland Yard, they're trialling a brand new test aimed at separating competent Super Recognisers from the very best. Amazingly, they have also agreed to evaluate my recognising skills.
This has never been tested before. I've deliberately made this one very hard because the trouble is they've actually got too good at some of our other tests that we can't distinguish between people who are excellent and really excellent. They will watch a short clip of a person walking along an alleyway, and then a short time later they will view an array of faces and they've got to try and identify the person from the alleyway. We think it might be very difficult.
That one?
No.
That guy.
You're correct. Well done.
Was I right?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
fantastic. Is it that one?
No.
This one?
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah, that's correct.
Is it that one?
No, wrong again, I'm afraid.
Okay. The final result. Gary, the clear winner. The challenge for Scotland Yard now is to find others as observant as him.
We've got about 140 at the moment, but we know there's more, because sometimes you could be a super recogniser, but you're in a job where that talent doesn't come to the forefront. So we're trying to find those super recognisers. There should be 500 in the Metropolitan Police.
Inspector Neville believes that facial recognition will soon be as crucial as fingerprints and DNA, because it enables detectives to create a mosaic of a suspect's crime history.
We do a thing called Face Snap, where the super recognisers can link several faces together, so they say that person is the same person. So like with fingerprints and DNA, we can arrest people for several offences. In the past, you would have been just convicted of the one crime on CCTV and probably got a suspended sentence. But because the judge sees 10 or more offences, people go to prison.
To date, the biggest test for the Met super recognisers has been the 2011 summer riots.
This is Stephen Prince. He's obviously seen this guy taking photographs. He's not too happy with that. He's come down. As you can see, he's violently assaulting him. He was involved in everything throughout the day. He was throwing petrol bombs at police. He was smashing shop windows, setting fire to cars. All you can see is his eyes in the top part of his nose. But from that small piece of his face, that was enough for me to say, yeah, that's Stephen Prince. And we got charged on that, and he went to trial.
And what was the outcome?
I think he received 5 or 6 years imprisonment for it, so it was a good result.
The Met Super Recogniser team identified over 600 suspects from the riots. Gary was responsible for around a third of them. Super Recognisers may seem like superheroes, but their powers have limits. Surprisingly, they can struggle to identify people outside of their own race.
There is clear scientific evidence, and it's quite politically incorrect scientific evidence, that certain people, you do see your own race better. So the best person to identify a Chinese person is somebody of Chinese origin. Best person to identify a black person is a black person.
Back at the carnival, the Super Recognisers are clocking up results.
We picked up 3 guys who we thought were acting suspiciously. We stopped and searched them. All 3 were known for robberies in the last few weeks, so they're clearly here to be up to no good at carnival.
Over the carnival weekend, the Super Recognisers helped to ensure over 200 arrests. Certain proof that in the fight against crime, they are one of the Met's most powerful tools of detection.